Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 2 of Something for the Weekend with me, Simon Holden, and Derek McGovern, the McGuvnor himself. How are you, Derek, and how did you enjoy week 1 of the Premier League?
Yeah, very good. Mixed fortunes, I'd suggest. I think one thing we learned from the opening weekend, one that's gone down in my golden rules of betting, is never back a Premier League team beginning with B, and that includes those bastards ever. I have other
Yeah,
goals, by the way. If in doubt, have a bet. We both share that one, Simon. And after
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if ever you do have a successful day's punting, never let an aardvark near your cocaine. That's it. That goes down.
yeah. Oh, that reminds me of a weekend in Blackpool, Del. But let me just say that did you? I suppose you won't have seen the research that's come out today, just been released by the Institute of Unfinished Research. I don't know if you've seen that, Del, in the papers today.
Of theirs, so I'm all ears.
No, well, they've concluded that 6 out of 10, and that was it. That was the end of the piece that they released. But fantastic stuff. If you get a chance to read the full report, Del, please do. Having a couple of problems with the old microphone there, Del. I can hear you. You're coming through now.
No, can you hear me now?
No, can you hear me?
Yes, I certainly can. Right, well, I've no idea what that is for, and I've no idea what to do. Or maybe my.
Oh no, we can hear you now. Del Boy's back in the building.
What a relief for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So the petition didn't work. The microphone is working, and well, disappointed fans around the UK will now be hearing week 2 of the McGuvnors bets. Now we are going to do 2 games, both on a Saturday. Now, I'll come to the private service later at the end. Please stay with us and I'll explain how you can get involved. But on Something for the Weekend, we will do Man City and Tottenham first, the first live game on TNT. And then we'll move to Sky Sports for the fascinating clash of Arsenal v Leeds. So, Man City. Last week, Man City v Tottenham. I'll just give the outright odds, Del, before we have a look at the match and see what you think. Man City are 2s on, 4-9 in a place, and you can get 5-1 on Tottenham, 4-1 the draw. Now, is this a case of classic week 1 overreaction, these odds?
Yeah, it is. I remember having a stand-up row with the chairman or the chief executive, one of the bigwigs of Hills, many years ago when I was working at the Racing Post, and I said bookies have overreacted massively to the opening weekend, and the odds changed enormously. And he was saying, well, what do you expect us to do? We have to react to that. But I said, yes, react, but don't go over the top. And we were on the phone call for about half an hour, and this is exactly what's happened again. The bookies are pricing this up like Manchester City are the Manchester City of old, and they're not, basically. One that opening day win against Wolves, and all of a sudden, they're back to their very best. I'm sorry, but I mean, you could say that's maybe we shouldn't read too much into Spurs' opening day victory against whoever it was. I can't remember now. I know it was Burnley. I mean, it can only be Spurs to open the season with a convincing win and then still end up like the chumps of the week after Eberici Eze just snubbed them in the transfer market. Earlier in the summer, they were after Hugo Ekitike. Then they were after Eberici Eze. I think they're searching for the world's greatest palindromic player.
Yeah.
And I've heard Daniel Levy's putting in a bid for Monica Seles next. That's how.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it with that chairman? Is he saving up for the rainy century? It's like he won't spend a penny, will he?
No, it must be hugely frustrating. Well, I know, knowing so many Tottenham fans, how frustrating a club it must be to support. I mean, the key angle here, and I would say to anybody after week 1, is that people I know have vastly changed opinions on teams in the week after one result. Very dangerous game. So teams they thought were going to have a great year. Villa's a classic example. Now they've veered against them because they got a draw. And the Man City Wolves is the classic example of what I call week 1 syndrome. I said to you before, I thought they might be reinvigorated. They played really well, but we don't know how well they played because we haven't seen Wolves play anybody else yet. If Wolves get tanked on week 2, we might have to have a massive rethink about the new City. And I agree with you that this is bookmaking based on week 1. Grey area evidence, I would say.
Without doubt. I mean, I'd prefer to look at Spurs' record recently against Manchester City. In the last 4 years, last 4 visits to the Etihad, they've won 2 and drawn 1, and that's when City were good. Now, you've got the only people they scare now are their own fans. I think only the certifiably insane, and that includes me normally, would be looking at Spurs City at 1-2, 4-9. Yeah, I mean that's a criminally bad. Yeah, they could be as good as they looked last week against Wolves, but I'd suggest maybe it's Wolves making them look good.
Yeah, and of course the other angle is that Tottenham's new manager is renowned for being very smart cookie and a very defensively minded, if you, in a way, an un-Tottenham like, if such a word exists, manager. So I don't think Tottenham are going to turn up here, in anything but sound defensive format.
Well, I don't know. I think you're probably underestimating Thomas Frank, the manager there. I think he did an unbelievable job at Brentford. I mean, he made them, a formidable Premier League side, and you look at the players he had. I'm surprised he was able to do that. He's a top class manager. But it's worth bearing in mind, Sam, that City lost as many home games last season as Brighton. They're not impregnable at the Etihad.
No.
And I'm not saying the Spurs are well beaters. They're clearly not, but you don't have to be well beaters these days to beat Manchester City. You just have to be reasonably competent, and Spurs are almost that. I think the odds if you're going to have a bet on this game, it has to be Spurs at 5-1, 11-2. Far too big.
Yeah. So we're going to go Tottenham. I think the key question here is. This is a genuine test for this new Man City outfit, a genuine test. And there's still questions to answer from last year. I mean, I said out of the 3 top teams, I thought there was a smidgen of value. So I'm talking against myself here. And they were impressive. I thought that the guy who played wide left was very impressive. Haaland looked good. But, I can think of 10 strikers that would look like world beaters against that Wolves defence. So this is key. We're going to know a lot more about both teams here, and I just go through this again. I thought 4-1 for the draw and 11-2 Tottenham. Where can we get this 11-2? Bet Victor, the best price in the village that I can see anywhere. It's very tempting, Del. So is that going to be the play? Tottenham 11-2.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying there's not much of a difference between the draw of 4s and Tottenham at 11.
No, it was.
You want to be a scared. But I like that. I mentioned last week. If I've got a strong opinion on the team, I'll have a go. I'm not messing around with backing with the draw. And I just think Spurs. I mean, I wrote them off last week against Burnley, but I didn't write them off. I just said Burnley were a good bet to beat them. As it turned out, Burnley played quite well. It doesn't sound like in a 3-0 defeat, but they did all right. But yeah, I mean, this new manager syndrome with Tottenham, I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a real good manager. And I don't think Pep Guardiola's mind's on it. There's something not right with City. If you ignore last week's results against Spurs, they're not a team you want to be backing at 1-2, 4-9. They're really not, even at home. No team can have the season City had last season and then all of a sudden forget that and then fight for the title again. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work like that, football.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think there's a lot to prove before City merit those sort of odds against top teams at home. So you're right. We have to take them on, and everything is about the odds. So 11-2, bet Victor there. Get yourselves on Spurs for a shock. But would it be a massive shock? As Del Boy said, the record at the Etihad is superb in recent years. So maybe it's a shock to the bookmakers, but not for more cerebral bettors who are willing to go for some early season value. So that is the lunchtime game. Now we're going to stay on Saturday and move to the 5:30 kickoff, which is Arsenal entertaining Leeds. Now, we're going to come on to the same theme for obvious reasons here, Del, is that possibly not in the way that they priced up the Man City game, which I think is pure overreaction to week one. This is an interesting game for the layers to price up because you've nailed your colours to the mast securely that you think Arsenal are cert to win the league this year, certainly at the prices. Leeds come here after a day one win against an Everton side. I mean, I told you before we started recording that half-time last Monday night, I got a tin of Crown paint. I threw it on a wall and sat there and thought, this isn't as boring as people make out. Because the first half, Sean Dyche must have been sat watching that home and thought, well, what have you got rid of me? I could have done this for you. Everton were insipid. They were, I'm filled with dread, and I just keep waking, at 3 a.m, hearing your voice telling me that that Everton are cert to go down. I don't know what you were doing in my house, by the way, Del, but I just keep hearing your voice. Yeah, watching the paint. Yeah, so I don't know whether Everton were there for the taking and whether we can read too much into Leeds' performance. What we can say is they created a hell of a lot of chances and were very, very wasteful. I mean, the penalty that wasn't a penalty, I've been saying all week to other Everton fans, yes, that wasn't a penalty, but none of us can argue that Everton didn't deserve to get heavily beat. So let's not hang our hats on that one incident. Leeds created a hell of a lot of chances, though.
Did they really? I'm not so sure. I think you were watching their, a different tin of paint to me. I mean, they were a better team. They deserved to win. I actually did think it was a penalty, by the way, but I can understand where you're coming from on that. Everton are going down. On the Everton to where I saw, they're going down, and Leeds to beat them 1-0. Courtesy of what you might say is a dubious penalty. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement of Leeds, is it? I look at this fixture, and sometimes, when I see teams priced at 10-1, I think, I'll try and have a little go, see if I can make a case for them. It is impossible to make a case for Leeds in this game. I mean, in 40 years of betting, Simon, I've only ever been given one stone cold bonking certainty. Finish second. But I'm going to say Arsenal at around 6-4, just below 6-4, to beat Leeds without conceding, to win 2-0, in other words.
Yeah.
It's such a short thing. I'm half expecting the bookies to pay me out as soon as I put the bet on. That's what a short thing. Normally they just stamp loser on me bet and then do the same on me forward. But on this one, 6-4, Arsenal without conceding a goal. The only danger to that bet is if Leeds don't even manage to get nil. It's money in it.
Right, well, strong opinions there. Let's 6-4 Arsenal to win 2-0. Look at the actual outrights. There has been money for Arsenal in the last 24, 36 hours. 4's on. The draw is priced at 5-1, and Leeds are 11-1 with Betfred is the biggest price I can see. Now, if you want to bet a draw tomorrow, I'd say you're better off having 4-1 on Tottenham and Man City to be a draw than you are having 5-1 on Leeds to get a draw at Arsenal. That suddenly makes the draw seem extremely good at Tottenham. I think that's an awful price, isn't it?
It is. It's a shocker. I mean, there's no chance. Can you see Leeds? The only option is to sort of camp out in defence. Can you see them holding out Arsenal? It's not. It's one of these. It's a mismatch, isn't it? I mentioned last week that Arsenal were good things for the title. They go to Old Trafford and pick up 3 points. I mean, that ain't easy, particularly if you're Man United. But that was a professional win by Arsenal, and a good omen for them. Not quite as good as Omen 2, but a good omen for them. When Arsenal won the title in 2002, which might have been the last time. No, they won it in 2004 as well. They won it after 3 consecutive second-place finishes. So there's a little bit of an omen for you.
Yeah. I mean, watching that, I thought to win titles, you have to win games scruffily. And, the Arsenal 5-0, that was a scruffy professional win, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's the kind of win you win 1-0 to the Arsenal. That's what they made a history of, a few years ago when Bruce Rioch was the manager, and going even when Arsene Wenger took over early days. Yeah, I just how can you see Leeds stopping Arsenal this weekend? It's just not possible.
No. So Del Boy's going 6-4. Leeds to win to 0. You'd want 64s to 1. Arsenal to win to 0 at 6-4. Tottenham take the 11-2 with Bet Victor to cause a shock, in quotes, at Man City. I'm going to have a little split staker there. I'm going to have 80 on the win, 20 on the draw in that game. I quite like that. And I'm in complete agreement with you there, Del. I think it's going to be a tough trip to the capital for Leeds and their fans. Now, before we go, Del, it would be remiss of me not to ask you how you felt. We've seen how I feel about Everton after week 1. How did you feel that your boys, who, Bournemouth came back into it, got to 2-2. I thought we were going to, then they had a good chance to go 3-2 up, so I thought we were in there. What do you feel about Liverpool after week 1?
Well, they're not going to be winning the title. There's going to have to be some big changes there. They look so open. I thought Bournemouth outplayed them for large parts of that game. It was almost a moral victory for us with Bournemouth there. So go along to your local moral shop and see if you get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
If I look at Arsenal, and they went on top form against Man United. Look at that performance, and not many teams are going to be scoring against Arsenal. You look at Liverpool, and Bournemouth scored 2 against them. It could have been 3 or 4. Teams are going out get at Liverpool. It might change before the transfer window closes. They might get another centre half to partner Van Dijk. But Van Dijk's getting on a bit now. If he gets injured, I think we're in real trouble. No, I can't have Liverpool for the title. I was disappointed in them, to be honest.
Yeah, and following on from that, of course, the great Mo Salah was in the news for another award. Fair to say that you found that a shock?
Well, it wasn't a shock because I've learned to live with it now. Salah, when you go out in the pub and you're talking about overrated players of the Premier League history, David Beckham was always my number 1, followed by Frank Lampard, just a fat John Wall. But going right to the top of the list over the last few seasons is Mo Salah. I've watched this guy every game, and I can't believe he's a footballer. I think he's a terrible player. I know people are going to look at the goals he scores. Well, if I went out on a football pitch and my only job was to score a goal, I would score a goal. I wouldn't necessarily be helping my team because they're playing with 10 men all the time. Listen to this, Simon. People say Salah had his best season ever last season. But he scored about 3 goals from open play more than Chris Wood at Nottingham Forest, Cartors. In fact, over the last 2 and a bit seasons, not counting penalties, this is, Wood and Salah are pretty much level in Premier League goals, not counting penalties. Is it that good? Bear in mind, too, that he played for 5 seasons with Sadio Mane in the Liverpool team. And in all of those 5 seasons, apart from the first, Mane would have been Liverpool's top goal scorer, not Salah, had Mane been the penalty taker and not Salah. His record is mostly about penalties. And I'm sorry, I don't go about, look at the goals he scores, he must be a great player. He's not a great player. He gives possession away so much. Listen, I'm in a minority on Merseyside here. The arguments I've had about it, but I don't care. I don't like it when people agree with me. It makes me think I'm wrong, and I'm not wrong. It's the ordinary player.
Oh, this is music to my ears.
I know what you're going to say now, Simon. Well, how can he win all these, Player of the Season awards? Well, this PFA Player of the Season awards, it's voted on by the players. So, would think, well, there's a bit of insight, there. Not at all. Premier League players do not watch football matches. Premier League players are too busy shagging supermodels, to be sitting in watching. And all they see is what they read in the newspapers. Oh, Salah scored another goal, another Mo Salah headline. We'll put him down on the end of the vote. They're not even interested in voting. I know how it works, these votes, the PFA votes. So it's not worth the paper it's written on. I believe just watch Salah this weekend or Monday night against Leeds. Newcastle.
Monday night, watch him. And let's have a think just how bad is this guy. Fantastic views from Del. I 100% agree. And I would add all 10 of the other players to that list as well. But that's just me. Now, what I will say is The McGuvnor private service is now on to week 2. Del Boy hit a double. Leeds beat poor old Everton, and Arsenal beat Manchester United. Now, those bets are ready now. He's looking at 4 games. You can get them. Just follow the links below and get involved in the McGuvnor private service. And we will be back next Friday. Right, Del Boy? Have a great weekend, mate. And let's hope that the old Makazaka lands this week and we take the money.
Not in doubt. Not in doubt.
Excellent. And Salah for penalty and another desperate performance. See you later, everybody.
Cheers.
Something for the weekend?